Was once conspiracy is now undeniable. There is a class of bureaucrat, an establishment elite, in combination with deep state administrative intelligence officials who are actively conspiring against the former president to make sure he is never again elected president. I know this, we know this, because we've seen it play out over 6 years. This was a story we became familiar with. This is just simply the latest chapter, perhaps Chapter 7. We even know the names of some of these actors who have conspired not just to keep Donald Trump from becoming president, but to actively elect Joe Biden. Here is an example. One of their champions is none other than former CIA Director Michael Hayden. And look, he's about as corrupt as it comes. He was one of over 50 intelligence officials that, in October 2020, signed the letter saying the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. That letter helped Joe Biden to the presidency. And it's all because of people like Hayden and his allies who despise Donald Trump. And now get this, Hayden's back at it again. To prove my own words, he's showing just how exactly he is politicized. The U.S. national editor of the Financial Times, a man named Edward Luce, he tweeted last week the following, quote, "I've covered extremism and violent ideologies all around the world over my career, and I have never come across a political force more nihilistic, dangerous, and contemptible than today's Republicans. Nothing close. Really, not Al-Qaeda, Republicans." And to that, our former CIA director jumped in and tweeted this, "I agree, and I was the CIA director." Now, just to show you exactly what he thinks of Americans, Hayden also retweeted a photo from another Twitter user. It's on your screen now. This photo is who he imagines his political opponents to be. This is who he imagines Americans living between the Hudson River and California happen to be. He says, and he retweets, "Tell them to vote like their lives depended on it, or these people will be in charge." That's what your former CIA director thinks of Americans. Look, what they're saying is you're the problem and you need to be taken down. Not just Trump, you, no matter the cost. But they'll do anything necessary to protect their own. And I found this from a podcast today. Sam Harris is an atheist. He's a man of the left. But I have always been under the presumption that he was an honest seeker of the truth. I thought that until today. Watch this.
Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared. Whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right, or China, it is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. So it doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was. Absolutely, right? But I think it was warranted. The thing is, it's just not left-wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left-wing. Right, Liz Cheney is doing everything in her power
to prevent somebody being democratically
it's not but there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open.
It's stunning. Now, who is Sam Harris? He's a self-described intellect on the Trigonometry podcast right there. But he gives voice. He says the quiet part out loud. It's okay to embrace a conspiracy. A left and right conspiracy, an elitist conspiracy, to subvert democracy if your worldview is underlined and emboldened, if you think the threat to your worldview is so great. You hear it in the voice of Sam Harris, and you see it in the actions of the former CIA director, Michael Hayden. Ned Ryan is the American Majority founder and CEO, and he joins me now. Ned, great to see you. This seems to validate, really, honestly, it seems to validate everything that has been said by Donald Trump over the last 6 years.
Well, I mean, Sam Harris, it was absolutely what he is. Sam Harris said that he hated democracy, totally fine with a conspiracy to undermine the democratic process by which Trump could have been reelected. And to put a fine point on that, Will, if you look at the swing state voters, if they had known about Hunter Biden's laptop, fully 9% of them said they would have switched their vote. And if you take those numbers as valid, every swing state Trump would have won and coasted to victory. So it was absolute conspiracy theory. And he said he was absolutely fine with it because he hates democracy. You look at Michael Hayden. Michael Hayden has said, essentially, that the most violent ideology in the world right now is patriotic Americans who are questioning what is taking place with the surveillance and administrative state here in this country. It's not violent, radical jihadist Islamists who behead people or the barbaric CCP. It's hardworking, honest Americans who are questioning what is taking place. And the thing that's troubling to me about all of this, Will, if you even dare to question what is taking place, you're considered a radical, violent ideology. In fact, I view Michael Hayden in his defense of the surveillance state as an extremist because I view the surveillance state as a real existential threat to the freedom of the American people. And until we address the issue of the surveillance state and the DOJ and the FBI powerful and unaccountable, nothing else matters. This is the thing. And until this is addressed, everything, politics, everything that takes place in D.C. is sound and fury signifying nothing.
Now, let me say this really quickly, Ned. I'm not making an assertive case. I'm going to follow a logical trail for one moment and ask you one last quick question. If you believe, like Sam Harris, that Donald Trump is a greater threat than Osama bin Laden, that's another thing that he has said, a greater threat than Osama bin Laden. And if you think then it's okay to subvert free speech and the democratic process because Donald Trump represents such a threat, and if, like Michael Hayden, you think Americans are the most violent, patriotic, right-wing Republican Americans are the most violent